Edit. For all the raging feminists, the title should have been Sex Doesn't Make Me Happy, not Women Don't Make Me Happy. I am a 25-year-old man who spent years engaging in casual encounters and have had many partners. What I previously thought would lead to an insatiable desire for sexual conquest has actually resulted in the opposite. I have come to realize that sex is such a small fraction of my happiness. I used to seek out attractive partners, and now I don't even bother. What I realized is that what matters is in the heart. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's mostly on the inside of us, in our brains and hearts. Physical attraction has grown to possess no value to me whatsoever. I actually enjoy friendships with the women in my life. I'm thankful for the heartaches and the romances that have passed. Trying to objectify women for years has actually done the complete opposite. The more I met and slept with women, the more I realized that it doesn't matter. Sex is as desirable as eating, sleeping, or using the restroom. It's great for a few moments and then it ends. It's the life you live before and after that matters. There are many more satisfying things in life, filled with much more substance. So now I am 25 and see that I am a man I never thought I'd be. Still kind of interested in physical intimacy, but with a different perspective. And I'm wondering if anybody can relate. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Lots of great replies and some judgmental ones too. Thank you all for coming together in a civil way to discuss something that I think a lot of men think about. God bless you all. Story 1. What I learned was that you cannot expect someone else to fill a hole in you. It is not fair to them that instead of being themselves, they have to fill up something missing in you. What works is when someone adds to your life and you add to theirs. If you are not happy and you need them to fill that hole, then you are taking away from them, not adding to them. And you should never want to make your partner less than they are. My wife increases my happiness, but I do not depend on her for all of it. Nobody can carry that burden for someone else. Story 2. The first rush of testosterone has worn off. This is the stage of life when you stop focusing on getting some and start focusing on other things more important to you. Work, career, self-improvement, family, creating a legacy, etc. I'm 30 now. Sex is definitely not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There is much more to life. Story 3. I never got the chance to figure that out by trial and error. No one wanted me, and the people I liked didn't like me back, so I had to make do by myself. I don't think sex would make me happy per se, but the absence of it doesn't do me any favors, and I wish I had companionship just in general. Story 4. Sex is like money. It will not make you happy by itself, but not having it sure will make you unhappy. Most guys who are obsessed with it simply have never had a long stretch of consistently getting enough of it. Story 5. I'm kind of there now. At first, there was a lot of lust. Because I broke into the dating game late, I felt I kind of missed out on sexual adventures in youth, so there were a lot of attempts to compensate for that. Following that was a need for a partner to emotionally complete me, for lack of better words. At this stage, I wasn't in a great place mentally, and leaning on people close to me for emotional warmth was significant. Now, I've gotten over those few hurdles and am in a relatively good place. I'm still a very passionate person at times, but I'm more focused on bettering and enjoying my life than relying on others to do that for me. It feels nice because when you focus on yourself, you seem to attract the right type of people into your life without trying, which only helps going forward. Story 6. I'm probably the outlier here. I was born with a physical disability, mild cerebral palsy. Very few women out there are willing to be intimate with a disabled man. My sex drive is still just as high as it was in my teens. I suspect it's because I never had a consistent sex life. At this point, I'm not sure I ever will. Hookups never interested me. All I have wanted since I was 15 is a committed relationship with a woman, but that has yet to happen. However, this year I've realized all the time and effort I've put into my romantic life has gotten me nowhere, so I'm starting to give up. I hope my testosterone levels turn down soon. Story 7. I'm thankful for the heartaches and the romances that have passed. Trying to objectify women for years has actually done the complete opposite. The more I met and slept with women, the more I realized that it doesn't matter. I'm not sure you appreciate how important it was for you to go through that. I completely agree with most of what you said. In my 20s, all I cared about was having as much sex as I could with as many physically attractive people as possible. Once I hit 30, everything changed. But we're both speaking from positions of privilege in the sense that we were both able to have those experiences and learn from them. A lot of guys or people in general aren't able to have that. If a person yearns for sex because they have had very little of it in life, I wouldn't come through and say, sex is as desirable as eating, sleeping, or defecating. It's great for a few moments and then it ends. It's the life you live before and after that matters. There are many more satisfying things in life, filled with much more substance. Because that would be a very tone-deaf response and doesn't empathize with what they're going through. I think you should celebrate the fact that you were able to experience these opportunities to grow as a person and give yourself credit for being able to do so, because a lot of people don't grow. But at the same time, remember that you're one of the lucky ones and others don't even get the opportunity. Story 8. This reminds me of when Mass Effect first came out. If you haven't tried it, I totally recommend it. Back on point, it had amazing graphics, story gameplay, and crew members, plus tons of other things that made it great. Sadly, everyone focused on the 10 to 15-second scene you can participate in if you made the right choices. No one cares about the other great qualities of the game, just the small factor of the game. Now, my point is that such scenes are such a small thing in life. Well, for some, it's non-existent. So now that you got your fill, play the story, man. The story called life. You're 25 and have a lot of potential if you learn that quickly. So enjoy, my friend. Play the story, enjoy the graphics of life, enjoy the gameplay. Focus on you. Story 9, you hit this stage a year or two earlier than I did, and you're absolutely right. Yes, I still enjoy sex like most people do, but it is a very minor part of life. Story 10. This is an easy realization to have after you have had the chance to have multiple hookups or relationships. If you have not, you cannot shake the feeling that you are undesirable or missing out, no matter how many people claim only after getting exactly what you want, that it is not all it is cracked up to be. Just my perspective. Story 11. Women weren't put on this earth to make us happy. Men weren't put on this earth to make women happy. You make yourself happy. That doesn't mean you can't share it with a woman, though. Once you realize this, then it's easygoing. Story 12. So in the title, you ask, did you ever reach a point where you realized women do not actually make you happy? But in the content, you basically say that sex does not make you happy. You do know women can do more for a relationship than sex, right? If you treated every relationship merely as a way to get sex, then yes, that is not going to make you happy long term. Stop looking for sex and maybe start seeing women as potential partners, best friends, someone you can simply enjoy spending time with, doing nothing at all, and then you can be happy and get occasional sex as a bonus, but not as the main goal. Story 13. I am impressed that you are only 25 and you have come to this mature understanding. Some men that are 45 have not even realized this yet. Be proud. You will be an awesome husband, lover, and father with your future wife. Story 14. Your post is all about sex. Your title indicates that you are still objectifying women by reducing them to sex objects. I hope you move past that as well. Story 15. I slept around in my early 20s and it never made me happy. Even then, I'm now happily 5 years married with 2 daughters. My wife is my best friend. I have found what I personally believe is what everyone really wants deep down. To be loved, truly loved. Which means to be known by someone, really known. My wife and I have such a deep connection, such a relationship of mutual respect and of putting the other's wants and needs above our own, and are always the other's advocate. More than that, she truly is my best friend. I enjoy spending time with her more than anyone else. Sex is all right, but so temporary. To be truly known. That's something everyone wants and few get. Story 16. Turned 30 and lost all interest in validation from women. Wisdom is found when you realize how much time was spent chasing tail that could have been used to become a better man in all aspects of life. Story 17. I think we are meant to think that this is some deep message, but actually, everything you've written is still about you. It's very superficial and an ego trip. I don't feel like the realization has fully happened yet. You've realized that just pursuing relationships isn't fulfilling, but there seems to be a lack of empathy throughout your monologue. Am I meant to be surprised that you enjoy friendship? You are suggesting you're now past objectifying women, but you use women, sex, and relationships as synonyms, and they are not. Maybe you should be thinking less about whether relationships are making you happy and more about whether you made anyone happy. You've got a lot of growing up to do. Story 18, absolutely. I often feel shame for how I used to be. I actually think I only ever wanted to seek validation. It's crazy how dumb I was. I'm very lucky to have found my wife. I enjoy everything about her. Sex is such a small part of the reason I love her. There's so much more to life than sex. Story 19. Anyone else laugh reading this? It's great not to objectify women, but come on, you had so much sex that now you're a monk? Look, I'm 37, married for 7 years, and still want to be with my wife way more than she wants. Don't be ashamed about being horny, just don't be a piece of crap about acting on it. Story 20. I'm only 21. But I decided about a year ago that I was ready to get my life together. I've been working out consistently, focusing a lot more on school, reading, started investing more, working more, etc. I also purposely distanced myself from my old crowd that is still smoking and drinking daily, failing classes, no jobs, you get the idea. Since I've been doing this for close to a year now, I've noticed, first, I get a whole lot more attention from women, and second, my taste in women has drastically changed. If there's no friendship connection, or at least potential, then I just lose all interest. Side note, I'm not against smoking daily. I have plenty of friends that do, but they still get things done, whereas my former friends were playing video games 8 hours a day instead of working at a job or on school last time I spoke to them. Story 21. So I'm a year older than you. I must have been defective because I reached that point at 16. I still have my virginity and can't be bothered to really give it up. I've just been focusing on my hobbies and riding my sports bike, which in my opinion, nothing will top a spirited but under control ride. That's just me, though. Story 22. So what you really mean to ask is, men, did you ever reach a point where you realized objectifying women to the point where you're only trying to have sex and not connect with them doesn't actually make you happy? Because that's what you just described. Story 23. The wording you used is so uncertain. Women don't make me happy means having meaningless sex doesn't make me happy. As if women equal sex? You realize women are human beings, right? Story 24. Yes, but in a slightly different way than you. I'm bisexual, but I always saw myself getting married to a woman and having children. But as I got older, I began to slowly realize that I didn't want that at all. I just convinced myself that I should want that type of life. I also realized that I'd much rather live with a man. So when I was around 30, I decided to stop pursuing relationships with women and focused on men. I've been in a long-term relationship with a man now for almost a decade, and this has been by far the happiest relationship I've had. Story 25. The title of your post initially bothered me because it equates women with sex, as if that's their only role in relation to straight men. However, the actual content of your post makes it clear that you are discussing sex. Story 26. No, nobody can relate. Think you are the first who has come to this realization. Brilliant thought, so elegantly put. Physical intimacy has grown to possess no value to me whatsoever. Sex is like using the bathroom in that it feels good in the moment, but like a fleeting sensation, it passes quickly. Story 27. You should really consider rephrasing that title because it is misleading based on the actual post and as objectifying as you say you no longer are. By your account, you still enjoy the company of women. You've just come to realize sex is not as big a draw as it used to be. Your title conflates the two, like sex is all a woman has to offer. My high school friends let Hollywood shape their views on sex, specifically movies like American Pie, where sex is practically the MacGuffin, the object all of the characters are struggling to get. We're now 30, and some of them ended up realizing what you did. Few of them still approach sex as a conquest with a methodical list of victories. It definitely feels like they're trying to fill a hole internal to them, not the anatomical ones on their partners. On my end, I had very few partners, just enough to know I do still enjoy sex, but only with a long-term partner when we know each other's bodies and can communicate effectively. Even then, that pleasure is a very small part of my relationship, and your comparison with food is adequate, also more enjoyable when made together and shared, also satisfying to make yourself for someone else and see them enjoying. But still, I wouldn't look at casual sex with half-strangers as representative of all sex. I have zero judgment of casual sex, and it does have its own beauty. I really appreciate fleeting intimacy with half-strangers. Just don't forget that's not the only form of sex there is. Story 28. As I started to focus more on my career, I noticed more women became interested in me. In turn, as I got older and my interests diversified, my interest in them waned. I still want it and need it and will go for it, but a long-term relationship seems good now and I focus on all my work, art, and experiences within that. I never thought I'd say that. I used to be crushed by women when they didn't want me. My male ego was so fragile. Once I realized it really didn't matter what anyone thought or how often I got laid, or by whom, everything got a whole lot easier. Story 29. Sounds more like women do make you happy, and it's just sex that doesn't. That post title is extremely misleading and can come off kind of negatively, just for your information. Story 30. Having a partner who truly understands you in life is absolutely beautiful. You're talking about sex, not women, and the problem is that you equate the two. You still have a lot of growth ahead of you. Story 31. So, sex is nice, like really nice. It's a fun activity for myself and a partner to get into, and not much beats the rush that comes from being in good sexual chemistry. The issue comes from the fact that for all of the highs that can come from this, the lows are the worst thing in the world. I find that while I want sex and a good relationship, I can do without it at 31 and be happy with my life running at a steady, predictable pace. I can put myself first now and focus on what makes me happy in the long term, and not just the short-term happiness that sex can bring. It's the reason that as I get older, I'm far less impulsive when it comes to getting into something with another person. It feels less like something I need to feel happy and more like something I want but don't find necessary. Sure, finding a woman that vibes well with me is something that I strive for, but it's not the end of the world if I end up not finding that person and live my life fairly chill. The horniness is something that will follow you forever, or at least until your body really starts breaking down, but its edge starts to lose its sharpness.